Shalom everybody, this is Joshua and welcome to Torah Jewce. This week's Torah portion is Pinchas, or Phineas if you like, but we need to go back to the end of last week's Torah portion. It kind of sets up this week, okay? So last week's Torah portion was Balak, and we talked about Balak and Bilam, the prophet to the Gentiles, and at the very end something happened. Balak had sent the Moabite women into the Israelite camp in order to seduce them and turn them away from HaShem. And there was a leader of one of the tribes that had began to cavort with one of the daughters of Moab. The Midrash says it was actually Balak's daughter, and the prince was Zimri, the leader of the tribe of Shimon, and they were actually doing this out in public. And that Pinchas, in his holy righteousness, saw what was going on, and that HaShem had sent a plague into the camp because of this, and he took a spear and he pierced both of them, killing them, and the plague was stayed after 24,000 had died. So that's leading up to this week's Torah portion of Pinchas. Now, Pinchas is the son of Eleazar, the son of Aharon, the high priest. It mentions that very clearly. So Pinchas was a Kohanim. I think maybe sometimes people use this Torah portion of Pinchas in order to justify their violence or behavior towards others. And I guess this is a place where you have to be very careful. How many of us can truly say that we have righteous anger, or that we do it for the sake of Hashem and not for the sake of ourselves, to become a hero so people talk about us? That's the difference between what Pinchas did and I think what a lot of people do today in the name of Hashem or in the name of God. I think unfortunately there are a lot of witch hunts, so to speak. There are a lot of violence towards others to, preserve Shabbat or preserve Halakha. And I'm not so sure that is exactly what you can compare to Pinchas. I don't know. I've read stories about Israel, and I know I can't really speak because I haven't been there, but there are groups that will throw rocks at cars that drive on Shabbat, and I know that according to Halakha, you're not supposed to drive on Shabbat, but is throwing rocks at cars the way to solve the problem? I'm not so sure that that's the same example. That's why what I want to talk about this at this time. I've heard of, messianic groups being attacked. I'm not so sure that that's the way to handle it. But, is that the righteous anger that Pinchas did? I don't think you can compare the two, because Pinchas was humble, and he was a son of Eleazar, the high priest, the son of Aharon. There's something special about him, a connection about Pinchas that I don't know that any of us today can say that we have. And I'm just saying that we have to be careful, because so many times we may think that it's righteous anger, but it may be just selfish anger. We may want to put a stop to what's going on for the protection of our community and for ourselves, but that's not what Pinchas did. Pinchas was doing this for the sake of Hashem. Rabbi Richmond has a wonderful teaching on this. Please go to Temple Institute or universaltorah.org and check out his teaching. Is that Pinchas was upholding the honor of Hashem. Now, does Hashem need someone to fight for his honor? Absolutely not. He's Hashem. He doesn't need us to fight for his honor. But because Pinchas was so connected to Hashem and to the Torah, that he was driven by Hashem to do this. He did not do it out of his own desire to. He didn't do it out of his own anger. He did it because Hashem led him to his zealousness through Hashem. And we have to be careful because, we read about zealots that during the Second Temple times, how zealots, ruined the food so that those who are holed up would have to fight. It's a very difficult situation. So I guess what we have to do is we really have to connect ourselves with Hashem and make sure that our actions are guided by Him, and that anger has been seen as a form of idolatry. And it's not that Pinchas was angry. He was zealous for Hashem. And I'm not so sure, and there may be people today, but can we really say that we are zealous for Hashem? That we're zealous for His Torah? Do you think that maybe if there were the majority of us that were really zealous for Hashem and zealous for Torah, do you think the world would be in the situation that it's in? Maybe. I mean, maybe that's just part of how the plan is supposed to be. But you would think that those of us who maybe claim, and I know that I'm not as zealous as I should be. Even if I can even say I'm zealous, I don't know that I can even use that word to describe me. I love the Torah. I like its teachings, but can I say that I'm actually zealous for Torah? I don't know. Maybe that's a question we should all ask ourselves. Are we zealous for Hashem? Are we connected to where that is the blueprint of our life, and that we would be willing to do whatever necessary to preserve that? I don't know. I mean, there's so many questions, and that's what we're supposed to figure out, okay? That's what we're supposed to question ourselves. Now, tradition says that Pinchas actually became Eliyahu Hanavi, that his merit and his zealousness. Now, I'm not so sure. I don't know. There are so many things we don't know. There's so many things we don't understand, and I'm not even going to begin to try and understand how that is. But he is definitely a hero who stayed the plague because he was zealous for Hashem. He did it for the sake of Hashem, not for the sake of himself, not to be put up on some pedestal, not for to be a celebrity. He did it for the sake of Hashem. And that's kind of the goal for us. Is when we perform mitzvot, is to do it for the sake of heaven, to do it for the sake of Hashem, not necessarily to do it for the sake of reward for ourselves, though those rewards do come. And we are in a do something for reward society. We work and to get paid. We have a parnasa, or a job that we work at to get paid, and we would like this reward. And Hashem tells us He will reward us, but to reach the level of where we just do mitzvot for the sake of heaven, I don't know if we can ever reach. I mean, maybe some can. I don't know. These are things to contemplate. Can we be like Pinchas today? All these things that are around us, the creeping evil that's coming into all of the world, they're zealous. They're zealous for their belief. Do we have the courage to stand up to this darkness? We're supposed to be the bearers of the light. Do we have the strength and the courage like Pinchas. May it be so. May Hashem grant us this courage and the strength that we need to stay these terrible things that are going on in the world, and do it for the sake of heaven. May Hashem be with you. May you have a great week. Shalom, shalom.